Stop that fucking music! I need no introduction! Oh, God. Richard Todd. Anyone who saw me a second ago in the previous show, that was just a ruse. I'm better than that. I'd heard that there was drunks in the room and I didn't want them in. So I performed slightly below par. I said, I'm going to go in there, shots out the wheat from the chaff. Hi, wheat. A lot of friends in the room, but I don't do audience participation, so you're all right. What don't I do?
Audience.
No! Don't answer! I don't do audience participation! What's wrong with you? Aren't you listening? All right, we've got to record this show. Hold on. Back off stage. Right, we're recording this show. My girlfriend left me and moved to Prague. Right? Then she asked me to send a recording of the show. I think primarily so she can remember why she left. But the thing is, guys, sometimes I reckon if I do a show so perfect, she will see that show and come back to me. So, no pressure. No pressure, guys. It's just my fucking heart on the line. So if you don't enjoy the comedy, do you enjoy love? Think about that. All right, let's get going. Let's crack on. I've got 3 big cameras unnerving me, but I thought, let's really win her back. Let's win her back with some Kubrickian shots. You're going to wait for the end. If you thought the party popper was fucking was bloody money well spent, wait for the 2 doors to open and the blood to spill out on the stage. That's where it's ending, guys. All right, let's get going. All right. Last time I did Edinburgh, right, my friend said to me, when you get on stage, Richard, you really need to introduce yourself, or all you look like is a man who has ran in off the streets. And started shrieking hysterically at the audience. Where's he getting that idea? I reckon it's a weird thing to do because, like, back then the posters were saying Richard Todd, right? The flyers said Richard Todd. And I think if I run out and say, I'm Richard Todd, it just creates doubt in the room. Because if I was at a party, my friend said, this is Lisa, and Lisa, this is Richard. And then I stepped forward and said, I'm Richard. Everyone at the party is going to think, who the fuck is that man? Who keeps reaffirming his identity? Does he even know who he is? I thought I didn't know who I was, right? Richard Todd, stand-up comedian, right? But after lockdown, my family got together for a little party, right? And we started playing that game where you put a little bit of paper on your head and try and guess who you are. It was my turn, right? The paper was on my head, and I was trying to guess. And I was like saying, are they on TV? And they were like, no. And I said, are they a singer? And they said, no. I said, are they a performer? And they went, no. And I said, give me a clue. And they said, he likes a bath. And I said, it's me, isn't it? And they all burst out laughing and said, yes, it is. I said, but I asked if he was a performer and you said no. And they were like, yeah, well, that's not really what you're known for, is it? And that's a bit boring, isn't it? When your achievements, bath time comes ahead of comedy and the things you have achieved in life and your family's recognition of you, Spent 10 years doing this. You can tell, can't you? The craft ekes out my pores, right? And I know everyone has a perception of you and that's often how no one else perceives you. I know that, right? Because I work with the homeless, right? I do art workshops. And a lot of the people I work with have mental health and drug problems. And I was there for 2 weeks before any of them realised I was an employee. Right? I'll tell you how I came to this realisation. One day I was chatting to a chap, nice chap, but midway through his drawing, he looked up at me and said, "Mate, have you managed to find any kind of work in London?" Right? And nothing undermines the job you are doing. More than my asking if you have a job. You're doing the job in front of him for his bloody benefits. I looked down and I said, "Mate, I'm the art tutor. Why do you think I keep giving you crayons?" When I first got that job, I thought I was going to use my workshops to exercise their demons. Get their troubles and travails out their guts and onto the canvas. Right? Problem is, their work is just really nice. There's one guy, all he does is paint images of Winston Churchill on polystyrene eggs. Can't complain about that, can you? There's another guy, Brian. All Brian does draw triangles, right? Same composition of triangle over and over again, until at the end of the day, I've sheaves and sheaves of identical images of triangles. I say to Brian, "Brian, you know what Einstein said? Einstein said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results." And I tell Brian this every day and still he But this is the thing, right? The thing is, the thing that irked me most about my mum saying he likes a bath is I do like a bath. I love a bath. I reckon you can split the people in the world between the people who take showers and the people who take baths. And the people who take showers are the people who get things done. Because a shower's about the destination. You step in the shower, you turn it on, whoosh, you're there, you've done it. But a bath's about the journey. Because you make a bath, you build it. You put ingredients in your bath, yeah? Salts, a little rubber duck, a toaster. Ingredients! Bubbles, put bubbles in your bath, don't you? Get the bubbles going, like no one masturbates in the bath. If you do, you bloody well shouldn't, right? Why? 2 reasons. A respect for the craft. And B, if you've done it right, your hands will be too tired from making all the bubbles. Well, you're not going to get anything done with them paddles. Because it's not hygiene, You're about to sit in hot broth of your own dead skin. Splashing the soapy ghost of yesterday's birthday suit against your face. Looking over at your shampoo bottles and thinking, am I worth it? Burning your elbow, because you don't have a newborn baby to check the temperature. I'm joking. You should always use your elbow. I learned that at an early age. When I was age 13, I was running a bath, getting the bubbles going, right? And then my hand leapt out the water and said, "It's ready for you, kid. Jump on in there." And even though my hand was bright red and blistered, I thought, it's part of my body. Why would it lie, right? So I jumped on in the water and it was scalding hot, right? And I panicked, and rather than just jump back to the cool ground on the other side, I panicked and clamped myself on all fours over the tub, right? Dangling my delicacies over the danger, right? Like I was offering a virgin sacrifice to a horny volcano, right? My mum heard me screaming and she came into the bathroom, right? Heard me screaming, came in the bathroom, paused in the doorway, and then burst out laughing. And then my dad came and he burst out laughing. And then my siblings came and they burst out laughing. And they're going to tell me I'm not a comedian. Start young. And another thing that irks me is, right, my brother is a postman, right? But if anyone asks my mum what my brother does, she will say, he saved his sister's life. Once. He saved Rachel's life once. He's delivered thousands of letters. He saved one life and now he's a lifesaver. I mean, he did save Rachel's life. wife, right? She was choking at a meal, right? And he leapt up and performed the Heimlich manoeuvre, right? So fair play. He did save her life, right? But at the start of that meal, I said quite clearly, everyone watch out, because this fish is bony. And I looked around after the Heimlich, and everyone had a little pile of bones on the edge of their plate. Except one person, greedy guts Rachel, patient palate, right? So Dave said, what, one life? I said 10, 12? I mean, Dave, you think Dave could have done 12 Heimlichs against the clock? Of course he couldn't. Everyone would have ended up joining in. It would have turned into a grotesque conga line, and squeezed and choking and regurgitating. You know, like a Heimlich centipede, right? So Dave's a lifesaver after one life save. I am a comedian, right? A little bit quiet there. Remember what's on the line here. The love of my life. Anyway, he says, remembering who has to fill the void in this room. It's me, guys! It's all of us. Me with desperation and you with affirmation, right? Never mind jokes, you fuckers. All right, anyway, right. After that, I got after the party, I was disconsolate, right? I was thinking to myself, right, if no one thinks I'm a comedian, have I just wasted my life? If my family don't even think I'm a comedian? Right? And then something wonderful happened, right? I spilled candle wax on my girlfriend's settee. That's not the wonderful thing. Right? I spilled candle wax on my girlfriend's settee. She was out the house, and I panicked, so I went online and typed in, how do you get candle wax out of upholstery? And I got this video that said, how to successfully remove candle wax from upholstery. Right? So I watched about 2 seconds, got the gist, got to work. All you needed was a hot iron and some tissue paper. Right? You put the tissue paper onto the stain, you press the iron down, and here presto, the stain would come out. Right? So I whacked my iron up to 10 and pressed it down. And pretty quickly I started to smell something happening. And I thought, this is good. This is the chemical reaction of a stain coming out of upholstery. Shortly after I thought, this is bad. This is the chemical reaction of the settee on fire. Right? So I lifted the paper and the iron up, and I'll tell you what, you couldn't see the stain. Primarily for all the singe marks. I decided I'd watch the video to the bitter end, right? So I watched the video to the end, and at the end of the video, the lady lifted the iron and the paper up and went, oh, well, that hasn't worked, has it? And I thought, don't call your fucking video to successfully remove candle wax from upholstery. Just give it an honest title. You know, like Margaret gives it a good go. No one minds to try it, do they? So I went online, and I was furious, right? So I thought, I'm going to write a nasty comment after this. So I went online, and I was getting my little fingers ready with the nasty words, right? And then I saw that Margaret had a litany of other videos, and one of them was called, How to Remove Burn Marks. You can't do that, Margaret. You know, you can't give your bad advice a cliffhanger ending and a sequel, you know. If you follow that logic, where's it going to end? How to successfully argue with your partner. How to pack your belongings in a small suitcase. How to build a comfy bed in a shop doorway. Oh, you're leading me down a rabbit hole of doom here, Margaret. I'm coming up to a bit that I should have said at the start. Hey? Chronology, eh? Structure. The most annoying thing is it's the first line of the show. Let's hope you camera guys have good editing skills. Watch, I'll see. Hi guys. Well, welcome to the show. In a nutshell, this show is about regret, acceptance, and a little bit of time travel. It's so important, so important. But we'll come to that later, or perhaps earlier, right? Imagine that earlier on, right? Stick it in your head, reverse your brains, put it where it's meant to be, and let's go on with the show, right? So I'm about to write, rabbit hole. Rabbit hole of doom. Right, and the thing is, I don't mind bad advice. You know, I used to get it when I was a kid, you know, but because I didn't have the internet, it just came direct to me, you know. Like, one time I was making a cake with my dad, and he tried to build a whisk out of a power drill in the fork. And it worked, it worked. You like your whipped cream with blood and an eyebrow. So I'm ready. I'm ready to type the nasty words in, right? And then I suddenly see Mark has a video called Suspend Your Disbelief. You know, pop it on a hanger, right? How to build a time machine. And I thought to myself, Margaret, you can't even get a white stain out of polyester. And now you're going to manipulate the fabric of time, right? You know, but I did feel like I've got a lot of regrets, so I watched a couple of seconds, got the gist, got to work, right? Simple device, cheap and all, right? All you needed was a little alarm clock, some wires, chips, and a teeny tiny bit of uranium, right? But as Margaret said when I placed the order, it is an investment for the future. And the thing is, I have got regrets. I will be the first to admit my life has not gone according to plan. Maybe not the first, right? Probably my mum and dad be first and second. Then then maybe a few of my friends. Then my peers. Then probably the homeless. But eventually I will admit my life has not gone according to plan. You know, I thought I was going to be someone by this point. I thought I was going to have things, objects, a house. You know, I've done nothing. When I graduated, I bought an Armani suit for all the important interviews I thought I was going to get with my degree. I got 2-2 in fine arts sculpture. 3 years ripping the heads off rocking horses, grafting them to mannequins, and shoving kindling up their arseholes, right? Transferable skills, right? But after that, 4 years unemployment. 4 years unemployment. That's when it began. Yeah, the baths. That's when the dark side kicked in, right? Because the thing about unemployment is, it is so boring. Like, it has nothing to do with my time. You know, so initially I was just running baths to kill the time, just to keep myself occupied. You know, it's just 1 or 2 baths a day to start with. I was in control, right? But then, 7-8 baths a day. I was chain bathing. I was running fresh baths onto draining baths, you know. I was mainlining on tub time, right? My girlfriend left me. She said, Richard, you're wasting your life. I reached out to stop her, but my skin was so soft. Fingertips like corrugated silk, right? It's tough times. I also got diagnosed for depression and an incredibly itchy arse. Not during the same appointment, right? I'm strict when I go to the doctors. I will only go in, I'll focus on one end at a time, right? The thing I like about antidepressants is they've got quite covert titles, right? So I take citalopram, and you can say that to the pharmacist or the receptionist. No one in the vicinity knows what your problem is. But the doctor checked out my itch and he said, Richard, you've got piles. And for that, he prescribed Rectisol. And Rectisol is a medication completely unabashed about where it is going and what it is about to do. You know, Richard, I'm going up your rectum and I'm solving your problems. I tell you what, I envy Rectisol. You know, just it's so sure of itself. I love that kind of mindset, just to say, that's what I want to do, and I'm going to bloody well do it. But now I have the chance, you know, I have my little time machine. Right? So I thought, right, I'm going to use it. Right. I'm going to use it, let's correct these mistakes. I'll go back. When I return, I'll no longer be a struggling artist. Right? So I turned it on. It crackled and whirred. A strange iridescence permeated the air. And then suddenly, pow! I turned it off again. I thought to myself, you can't go back in time looking like this, Richard. The homeless men think you're homeless. And now you're going to try and convey and tell the child you once were that you're him from the future. You need to sort your image out. You need to look like a man who conveys wisdom. Right, so I booked a haircut. Booked a haircut. I'll say it again, guys. I'll see I can tell there's some doubt in the room. I don't know how many times you need me to reiterate. I like it because you're like, there, play a time machine. What, you got a haircut? Fuck off. I booked a haircut, right? Now, as I was walking to the hairdressers, I saw 3 kids sitting on a wall, aged about 22, collectively, right? I reckon 2 7s and an 8, right? And as I walked past them, they looked at me and went, get your hair cut, mate! Right, I ignored them and kept walking, but then they let down from their perch and started following me through the street, saying, get your hair cut! Oi, mate, you need a haircut, you fucking hippie! Right, and these kids followed me for 20 minutes, all the way to the hairdressers. And as I reached the door to the hairdressers, I thought to myself, my God, these kids are about to feel so powerful. My whole husband been waiting outside when I left, just thinking, God, this guy does whatever we tell him to. Let's see where else we can take it. Your life to an ill-advised career choice. Already done it, boys, several times over. It is ill-advised. I did one gig once and a man in the back room put his hand in the air. That's like a polite gesture. So I said, yeah, mate, what's the trouble? And he went, I'm not being rude, which we all know is a precursor to a rude comment. I'm not being rude, mate, but you're not funny, are you? It's like, fair enough, it's subjective. But then a person in the front row stood up, turned around and said, leave him alone, mate, he's trying his best. And I think when your defence is making you sound worse than a prosecution. I mean, not getting away with it, right? Anyway, so I got in the hairdressers and the kids were still outside gesticulating at the glass. And the hairdresser said, are they with you? And I said, what, you think they're my friends? And she said, children. And then she looked at me with understandable concern and said, are they your friends? And I had to say, no, they are bullying me. So the hairdresser went outside and said, look, clear up, I'm calling the police, and the kids started, right? And then she came back inside and gave me a look as if to say, that's all you had to do. That's all you had to do. Look, if I got on the phone and said, hello, police, some children are following me saying I need a haircut. The police would have arrived, looked at me and thought, you do need a haircut. And then they'd be like, where are you going, sir? And I would have to say, the hairdressers. And then they'd be like, well, I think what we've got going on here, mate, is the classic case of an agreement. These are friends, right? Anyway, so I got in the hairdressers and I sat in my little seat, right? And the hairdresser started chatting to me. And she said, what do you do? And I said, I studied art. And she said, well, I've got a friend who studied sculpture. And now he works as a sculptor in Penrith. And I said, you mean a sculptor? And she went, sculpture. And I said, yeah, but if he's a sculpture, he wouldn't move. And she said, well, he did move. He lives in Penrith now. Anyway, I got the haircut, right? And it wasn't very good, right? And as I was walking home, I saw the same 3 children sitting on the way. And I thought to myself, get ready for the nasty words. And as I walked past, the tallest of them looked at me and said, get a hat! Oh, these kids know exactly what we need today. They're really on the ball, right? I went to buy the hat. And as I was buying it, I started to think, maybe these kids are just paid by the local shops to throw it. It wasn't until after the manicure and the spray tan I thought, this is definitely the case. But I got a hat, a little green woolly beanie, and I lost it on the way home, right? So I went to a lost property hoping to retrieve it, right? And I don't know if anyone else feels this. Does anyone feel like the man working in lost property is lost property? Because I went there and rang the service bell, right, ding? And this figure came shuffling out the darkness with such a hopeful look on his face. As if he was expecting me to say, excuse me, man, I left a child on a train 30 years ago. And I was wondering, has anyone handed it in, right? Dad, it's me, it's a bloody boy! But I didn't say that, right? What I said was, you couldn't help, could you? I lost the green woolly hat on the train. And he said, what does it look like? Which really threw me because I thought I pretty much nailed it in my opening down. We had some like toing and froing, and eventually he just put a box of hats on the counter and said, look mate, I've got loads of hats, just have one. Take it, pick. And I thought, you can't do that. You know, there's a principle here. You gotta get the right things to the right people. You know, you've got a moral obligation. Yeah. Right? Anyway. So, yeah. Anyway, later that day as I was walking home in my Gucci fedora, right? I felt wonderful because this hat was working with my hair. And I was cascading down, licking my shoulders. I felt hot, dangerous, and gratuitously sexualized. Like Sandy at the end of Grease, right? But when I got home, his first day my girlfriend did not like the hat. And she said, what the hell is that on your head, Richard? And I said, what does it look like? Which you should never say in an argument, because if you do, you're pretty much giving the guns and the ammunition to the other person and saying, have a pot shot. And she said, Richard, you look like a paedophile who started to take pride in his work. And I'll tell you what, that is not the look I was hoping to travel back in time with and present my childhood self. And then she said, and why is this settee arm burned to a crisp? And I said, I want to show you something, Marty. And I got the time machine out and I put it down. And she said, what the hell is that? And I said, what's it look like? And she said, it looks like you've broken my fucking alarm clock. What I did was I snatched up the time machine and ran out the house because I thought, it doesn't matter, this doesn't matter, you know, because pretty soon I'm going to go back in time and none of this will be a problem anymore, you know. I'll have fixed the settee arm, you know, my hair will be fine, the alarm clock will still be broken. It's part of the time machine, we need that, right? But you know, most things will be right again, right? So, I thought, right, let's get it. So I sat down. I turned on the time machine. It crackled in word. A strange iridescence permeated the air, and there was a strong smell of possibility. Yeah, an aftershave I was wearing at the time, right? And I thought, this is it, Richard. When you return, you're no longer going to be a struggling artist. You're going to be... And I go, pow! I turned off again. And I thought, oh, God. What are you going to tell yourself not to be? You know, you can't just go back in time and tell the kid you once were not to do art. This kid loved art. You know, you need a tangible option to draw him in, right? Because my Mum had told him not to do art. He ignored that. My dad said don't do art. He ignored him. Right? So I needed something. And he loved bats too. What kid doesn't like bats? You know, when you're a kid, the bat's this huge expanse. You know, I used to do laps of my bat. You know, little doggy paddle down like cats, front crawl back to the slopey bits. You know, when you're a kid, you can soil the bath. And bath time isn't over. It just means there's a slightly hostile territory somewhere within your bubbles, right? I needed a tangible option. You know, I thought about becoming a doctor. Who wouldn't want to become a doctor? You know, push through the crowd at the scene of an accident and get a better view, right? But I started thinking, oh, this time travel malarkey is trickier than I thought. I need some wise words. I need help, right? So I went to see the wisest person I know, Grandma Jean. My Grandma Jean is like a computer. She's often in sleep mode. She's got compatibility issues. And her virus protection is constant updating, right? She is like a computer, right? So I went to see Gran. She was asleep in her armchair. I nudged her awake, and quick as a flash, she looked at me and said, "Who are you? What do you want? Where's my glasses?" Security questions, right? So I said, "Richard, knowledge, they're on your head, Gran, right?" And then she said, "Go to the window and tell me how many lampposts are outside." Security questions, right? And the thing about my grandma, right, is my grandma is kind of like me, because like me, with bats, my gran's been reduced to a single object. You know, in my case it's bats, in her case it's soap. When we were kids, like all through our lives, my gran has always received soap, right, as a present. I think whenever it's Christmas, my mum would say to my mum, "What should we get Gran Jean?" She'd say, "Get her soap." She loves soap. Soap, soap, soap. Get her 3 blocks of the slippery stuff. And we come from a big family, so there's like 20 people getting told to get soap. And come Christmas Day, my gran would receive little rectangular block after identical little rectangular block. And each time, bless her, she would take it in her hand and, without any sarcasm of irony, say, "What could this be?" And I think, look around your feet, Grandma Jean, there are 20 fucking clues, right? But then one year, I was living with my gran on a break from university, and I opened a cupboard door in her house, and it was filled top to bottom with unused bars of soap. And I thought of all the times my gran had looked so happy to receive soap. And I thought to myself, "You lying bitch!" I thought, why couldn't you have just been honest with me, Nana Jean? You know, I loved you, I would have got something you wanted. You know, she was like me, she was creative. She was very creative. My gran used to cook pizzas by placing them in a frying pan and popping them on the hob to do the bottom, and then transferring under a grill to melt the cheese. And every time we ate one, there was a frozen husk in the centre. And she called it the pizza pip. And you should say, "You be careful when you're eating that, Richard. You don't want to choke on the pizza pip, right? No need for a Heimlich manoeuvre at Nana Jean's. She did the preemptive life-saving, right?" So anyway, so I got my time machine out, and I plumped it on the table, and I told her what I had. I said, "I've got a time machine, and I want to use it." I talked her through it. But she didn't seem to be getting the concept of time travel. So I thought, I'll pop Back to the Future on, give her a crash course. So we sat and we were watching Back to the Future. And it got to the scene where the doc puts his dog in a car and sends it 1 minute into the future. The car disappears for 1 minute and then reappears. And the dog leaps out. My gran said at that moment, "So are the men in the past now?" And I said, "Why are the men in the past?" And she said, "Because the dog's in the future." I said, "No, Gran, everyone's in the present." I said, "All that's happened, theoretically, is in that period, the men have aged 1 minute, but the dog hasn't aged at all." And I said, "Do you understand, Gran?" She nodded and said, "Not really." And I said, right, on a broader scale, right? If it sent the dog 5 years into the future, when the car reappeared, right? The men would be 5 years older. And she said, and the dog would be 5 years older. I was like, no, Gran, why would the dog be 5 years older? If the dog's 5 years older, that's not time travel. That's just a man putting a dog in a sports car and sending it around the neighbourhood for 5 years. And then she looked at me as if she had it under, figured it all out, and she said, it wouldn't survive the summer. But after that, my gran, we pondered this time machine for a few years, and my gran started using the phrase, it's like Back to the Future, for anything involving time. So one day we had a chicken in the oven, right? And it was taking longer than expected to cook. Right? And my gran came in the living room and said, Richard, the chicken's still not cooked. It's like Back to the Future. I was like, Gran, it's not like Back to the Future. Right, I'll tell you how it could be like Back to the Future. If you opened your oven, right, and the chicken had disappeared, then we got a photograph of your kitchen from the 60s, and the chicken was in that photograph. And then it slowly started to disappear because it had developed a relationship with its mother. Then it would be like Back to the Future. But this is just a bad bloody oven, right? And then her eyes burst open as if she had a sudden realisation, right? It looked like 2 soft-boiled eggs on a crumpled paper bag, right? And she looked at me as if she had this, and I thought, she's figured it out. And I said, what is it, Gran? And she said, I forgot to put the carrots on to boil. I was like, Gran, we've got a fucking time machine. I didn't say fuck it. It's like, Gran, we've got a time machine. Is that the only regret you can come up with? And I was like, what about Grandpa Stan? You know, Grandpa Stan had his leg amputated because he smoked too much. Don't you want to go back and try and change that? She went, well, the thing with smoking, your granddad was, he loved smoking. It made him very happy, right? And after the operation, we had a lovely holiday in Hereford. I was like, Hereford, right? You cannot believe this. But then I thought, Grandma Jean's hit the nail on the head here, though. This is a problem, because if I go back in time, I can't just erase. I won't just erase all the bad things. I'll erase all the good things too. You know, so if I go back in time, a little junction here and stop studying art. Just even though I hated studying art and hated the unemployment, a lot of good things came from it. Because the unemployment period of unemployment got me writing, and that writing got me on a course in Glasgow, and though that got me a job, and they were some of the happiest periods of my life, right? So if I go back and stop studying art, I'll erase all that. And furthermore, if I create a junction here, I'll create an alternate version of myself with no awareness of this version of myself. And what is the point in going back and changing things if you have no cognizance of all the improvements you've made? And furthermore, this version of myself will probably develop its own series of regrets. He could go back in time and become this version of myself. I mean, I think that's what you were saying, right? So I thought, you're right, Grandma Jean, there's no point in making big changes. So I got the time machine and said, Grandma Jean, let's have carrots. So I turned the time machine on. It crackled in words. A strange iridescence permeated the air. Right? Then, pow! You couldn't see the time machine. Primarily for all the flames engulfing my hand. Never handle raw uranium without a glove, right? I screamed and plunged my fist in the cold carrot water. My gran looked at me and said, So Richard, are we in the future or the past now? And I thought to myself, Margaret, you are going to get some nasty words after this one. But then I looked on the ground and I saw the time machine was in pristine condition. The time machine had worked. It'd gone back, but it was just too small to take me with it. And I thought to myself, it's working. Albert was right. So all I need is to build a machine big enough to take me. Maybe it's one that is hidden behind a black curtain at the side of the stage. and triggered by some cheap sound effects and a party popper. I tried to forget about it. I tried to move on, right? I tried to just let go of the idea of time travel, and just accept my life, right? But about a week later, I was making a meal to apologise to my girlfriend for all the bad behaviour, right? Burning her arm. So, share arm. I didn't burn her arm. So I thought I'll make her a nice meal, right? So I started making the meal. I was cooking the meal. I was using Hello Fresh. Everyone savvy with Hello Fresh? Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, it's a delivery you get to your house that has all the ingredients for about 4 meals, right? The recipe and some instructions, I think, are written by the same person who writes those extreme army recruitment ads. You know those ads that say, can you find 10 pence down the back of the sofa? And you're like, yes, I can. And then they're like, then you can find a bomb in a tower block. And you're like, hold on a second. Hold on. You've escalated the jeopardy. I'm not ready for this. I'm still on buttons and pennies, right? My training's not complete, right? Right. So the thing about the instructions is they're not written in chronological order. Right? They'll begin easy enough. They'll say something like, put some mince in a frying pan and move it around for 3 minutes to make sure it doesn't stick. And I'm like, I can do it. I can do this. So I start moving the mince, right? And I glance at step 2. And it says, meanwhile. And I'm like, meanwhile? Meanwhile, I'm moving mince around a frying pan to make sure it doesn't stick. Well, meanwhile, it says, meanwhile, cut some potatoes into 2-centimetre cubes. And I'm like, I have 2 hands. I am manipulating the mince. Well, what am I, a Hindu god? And then I say there's a sub-step within step 2 that says, after 30 seconds, add the sauce to the mince. And I'm like, that's in the past. That has been done. I've been moving mince for 2 minutes now. And then it says meanwhile. I'm like, well, meanwhile now or meanwhile in the past, right? You start to feel like you're in this Christopher Nolan Inception. The body within a body falling into a recipe within a recipe. Creating the subconscious notion of the medium I once have wanted. And then I get to step 4 and it says, has the audacity to say, relax. Relax. You're on this. And then offers some glib humour where it says, call a loved one. Alright, get on the phone to Grandma Jean, right? Get on the phone to Grandma Jean and I talk to her, say, hi, Gran, I know I haven't called for a week, but you're part of a recipe, right? And then I describe Hello Fresh to her, and she says, Richard, it's like Back to the Future. And I'm like, I mean, you're getting there, Gran. You're clearly right, but you're getting closer, right? And then she says, like the time we cooked the chicken. And I'm like, no, Gran, not like the time we cooked the chicken. And that was just a bad bloody oven, right? And I said, all right, Gran, I'm going to try one last time to explain Back to the Future to you, right? This is Back to the Future, right? You died in 2001, right? But because I loved you and I wanted you to be in my Edinburgh show, I brought you back into the future to be a major player in my show, right? In your prime. And she said, what, 20? And I was like, no, prime grandma, 76 with a limp, right? And then she said, what was the funeral like? And I was like, well, there was a lot of conversation about how much you liked soap. And she said, well, I didn't love soap, Richie. And I said, well, I know you didn't love soap, Gran, but you should have said something at the time, shouldn't you? And she said, well, the thing about soap was, I just asked for it because I thought it was a nice gesture, it was cheap, and I didn't need anything in my life, and soap was just something someone could give me that was cheap, and it showed their affection for me, and it didn't cost them too much. And they knew I loved them, and I knew they loved me, right? And I thought, wow, this is interesting. Like, Grandma Jean was kind, she was considerate, she was selfless, and the soap represented that. And I I thought, so these little things are just like seeds. You don't remember the people you love for like that everything about them. You just remember small gestures or actions or objects. And from those objects and actions, a whole personality will grow, you know. Like one of my early girlfriends, what I remember about her was we were walking home drunk one night and she squatted at the top of the hill to have a wee. And then she fell over backwards and started rolling down the hill. And what she looked like was a wet tennis ball being batted across the court. But that wasn't her entire personality. She was other things as well, right? She was violent, she was deranged. She had a terrible sense of balance, right? My current girlfriend, when I met her, she did an impression of an owl. She's not a fucking owl, right? She just rotated her head 360 degrees and ate a worm. She's not a bloody owl, right? So I thought, that's it, that's what all these little things mean. And I thought, so when my family said Richard likes bats, they weren't really saying that's all I am. What they were actually saying was, Richard understands comedy and has a great sense of humour, so we will say he likes bats because he knows how to take a joke, and he will not spend a year in his life dwelling on it. And write an hour-long show to scream at strangers because he's a fucking comedian, right? I ran in the living room, I thought, fuck the meal, I ran in the living room and said, Marnie, you know when my family said I like bats, they didn't really mean I like bats. What they were actually saying was, and then all that bit. Because I'm a fucking comedian, right? And then she said, oh, maybe they just mean you should start taking some responsibility for your life and stop chasing silly little goals. And I nodded and thought, no, I think they mean I'm a comedian. A week later, she said she was leaving me to move to Prague, right? And I said, Marnie, I'm going to create a show so perfect that when you hear it, you will recognise my comedy and return to me. And this one's not it, is it? I told you what was at stake at the start. What we're going to have to do is, I'm going to have to do it all again. I mean, it's all right for you guys. You've just been here for 50 minutes, but I've been performing this show to you for 16 hours. And I'm going to keep performing until you fucking get it right. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage a man who needs no introduction. Thanks for coming in. I did this show a little bit earlier, but I did a show before this one, but I did a shit job. So the week from the chat. Anyway, this show's about three things.
How's the pizza doing?
It's cooked.
Is it?
Is it warm enough on the top for you?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem warm enough on the top. Has it to be warmed right through?
The cheese should melt. Is that an oven or what?
This is, yes.
Yeah.
There, that's quicker. It's melting the cheese quicker.
You've never considered just popping it in the oven, Gran?
Well, yes, I could, but No, I thought I'd just pop it in there, which it's cooked underneath very well. Is that all right for you?
Yeah, that looks alright.
You're going to have to put it on top of the chips.
Oh, that's alright. I'll have a kind of crunchy base on my pizza.
Well, if you eat that lot, you'll do well, won't you?